Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and today I want to take a look at the new Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I had a chance to play the alpha just a couple of days ago, and while I enjoyed my time with it, I also wasn't overly impressed. Now, not necessarily saying that it was a bad experience, it was fine, but it really didn't seem like they were trying to push the boundaries or do anything different with the franchise. Now, some people will argue, well, isn't that standard for Call of Duty? Basically, all of them are carbon copies, and I will agree to some extent, but I feel like every year they at least try to do something a little bit different. For example, there was the infamous futuristic wall running mechanics. You had in the last Black Ops a class-based system where everyone had different abilities. In the recent Modern Warfare, they completely reworked the customization system and gave us something really unique that almost no other video game has done. They added in larger game modes like Ground War. 64 players in Call of Duty was pretty much unheard of before then. They really try to push the boundaries, at least in some respect, but I'm not really getting that in this game. It really just feels like they took a lot of those previous systems, put them in here, the ones that worked, and then just called it good. Now, for some players, that's exactly what they're looking for. They're not expecting a revolutionary new Call of Duty every single year, but I was kind of hoping that they were going to at least set it apart from everything else, and that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, as for the actual gameplay, the time to kill feels a little bit slower compared to Modern Warfare, but not by a lot. And for the most part, that was something that I enjoyed. As much as I liked Modern Warfare, I felt like a lot of times you just got taken out instantaneously. If you didn't see the other player, it was pretty much GG. There was going to be no way for you to react. And in this game, at least depending on what weapon you were using, it did give you a bit of wiggle room, and it felt like there was more of a chance for you to respond to what was happening around you. Now, clearly, this is going to come down to personal preference. Some people are going to like a slower TTK, some like it to be blazing fast, but for me, it did seem like they found a pretty good sweet spot. Now, the one thing that everyone has been talking about, though, is that even during this short little alpha, it had skill-based matchmaking. This has caused a bit of a ruckus in the community, and that's putting it mildly. On the one hand, you have players that think that there should be no skill-based matchmaking whatsoever, and their argument is that this requires you to essentially try as hard as you can every single time that you play. If you're using a loadout that maybe isn't as optimal, or you're leveling up a new weapon that doesn't have all the attachments, you're going to be at a significant disadvantage against everyone else who is using the best weapons in the game, and you're going to get stomped over and over. On the other side of the coin, though, you have players that are ecstatic about this addition because it means that if they aren't the best at these kinds of video games, they're going to be paired up with people that are also around their same skill level. They're not going to get in these lobbies where they're clearly at a massive disadvantage because there's no way they're even going to be able to compete with these people that have been playing video games or, Call of Duty since day one. And so for them personally, this is fantastic news. Now, at least for me, I wish that there was a bit more of a middle ground. I can completely sympathize with those players that are not satisfied with the skill-based matchmaking in Modern Warfare because it does feel very restrictive. I can have a round where I do incredibly well, and then I know that very next game I'm going to get destroyed because they put me into one of the sweatiest lobbies known to man. I wish that there was more of a gradual progression, or it wasn't as restrictive. On the other hand, though, I do think that having skill-based matchmaking isn't the worst thing ever. I think that there needs to be at least some loose guidelines or parameters that is going to find lobbies that is going to fit at least your relative skill level. You should not have players that are brand new to the game going against people that are exceptional and have been playing since day one. That's not going to be fun. The reason why they have these systems in place is that it retains their player base. You're not going to play Call of Duty for very long if you're getting destroyed over and over and over again. You're going to want to have at least a level playing field for the most part to get some enjoyment there, and that's why these systems are in place. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I just wish they weren't as restrictive. Now, thankfully, Treyarch has come and said they are going to be adjusting and changing the system as time goes on, and I'm hopeful that when the game does come out, that they are going to be able to find that sweet spot. One way that they could alleviate this issue a little bit though is either just make it less restrictive like we talked about, or just add in a ranking system. If I knew that I was a gold player and all of a sudden I did really well and became a platinum player, it would make sense why everything got more challenging, because everyone is obviously at a higher level. If I go down to silver, it's like, oh, well, it makes sense why I'm now doing better than I did before. If you would have that information readily available to your player base, it would probably make it less frustrating when all of a sudden you're just getting destroyed. It's like, did I get worse? No, the competition is better and I can clearly tell why it is better. Now, obviously, it would come with its own issues. It's not perfect, but I think it would solve a lot of the problems that people have right now, because they just don't have this information. If you finally did, it would make a lot more sense. Now, one thing I really enjoyed about it though is that they essentially took the customization system for Modern Warfare and improved upon it. One of the things that was always a bit annoying about this customization is that you never really knew how much these different attachments were improving your loadout. It would say that it would improve your accuracy or your recoil, but by how much? You pretty much just kind of had to guess by trial and error or look at those little bars at the very bottom, which really wasn't a good indication. But in Black Ops Cold War, it actually tells you this will improve your recoil control vertically by 15%. This will increase your aim down sight speed by 10%. It gives you the numbers to really let you know how this is going to be improving your loadouts. It also seems to be as expansive as Modern Warfare, where they're going to give you a ton of different options to choose from. The one hope that I have is that they're going to be able to balance it in a way so that we don't have certain combinations becoming the optimal choice. In Modern Warfare, you pretty much see everyone running the same kind of attachments. And while I realize that there's always going to be a meta, there's always going to be those few choices that everyone gravitates towards, I'm hoping that they're going to at least be able to bring in a bit more variety so that it isn't just everyone gravitating towards the monolithic suppressor, for example. I'm really crossing my fingers that they're going to be able to achieve that, but we're going to have to wait and see what they come up with. One thing that did stick out to me though was the audio. Audio is something that most FPS games struggle with because it's really important. It gives information to your players, it gives them audio cues to figure out what's happening around them, and most fall short. Right now in Modern Warfare, a lot of the complaints is that I just cannot hear when people are running almost 5 feet away from me, which is incredibly frustrating. Someone that gets the surprise on you, even though they're sprinting with all this gear on, is not the most enjoyable experience. And so one thing that I think they've done very well in Black Ops Cold War is that footsteps are very loud, almost to the point where they're too loud because you can pretty much pinpoint their exact location around the wall. Like, I know exactly where they are if they are running around. It's almost to the point where a lot of players don't like it because it is so loud. And even when you have a perk like Ninja on, where it's supposed to make your footsteps a little bit quieter, you can still pinpoint their exact location. Just in general, the audio left a lot to be desired. When you're running around with 24 other players on these small maps, you would assume that you would be hearing chaos and action all over the place. But a lot of times it felt like it was more ambience. Like if you're on a map all by yourself, there is that ambience way out there that kind of gives the game more atmosphere. That's what everything felt like a lot of times, but it's really just your teammate in an engagement with someone not that far away. It felt really disconnected from everything else. And while once again, this is just the alpha, I feel like that's going to be the biggest excuse here. I'm really hoping that they're going to be able to dial things in before the game goes live, because I wasn't overly impressed by what they delivered, at least with regard to the audio. In general though, while I did enjoy my time with the alpha, I was expecting a bit more. Maybe Treyarch has something up their sleeve that I'm just not aware of, but for right now, this does feel like a very standard Call of Duty. Some people are really going to like it. That is exactly what they want. They want there to be systems in place that are known to be fantastic, like that customization for Modern Warfare, the TTK from past Black Ops that people really enjoyed. If they're able to make that and wrap that in a complete package that is well polished, that's exactly what they want. They're not expecting to have a revolutionary Call of Duty every single year, and I can completely understand that. But for me, I was hoping for a bit more. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about the alpha if you had a chance to play. Did you enjoy it? What were some of the things that you liked or disliked? Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. But yeah, guys, until next time, have a good one and take it easy.